This is the Buildup on balls.ie in partnership with Ladbrokes, where we look ahead to the biggest events of the sporting weekend. And we're joined today to talk a bit of football by Ladbrokes ambassador, former Ireland international, Kevin Doyle, as always. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, Mick. Yeah, nice to be talking about club football again.
Yeah, the international weeks really drain us, don't they? It's like we care a little bit too much. You get so involved in it, and it's kind of grim at the same time. So yeah, you got to get back to club. It's like we're talking about it from a distance, isn't it?
Yeah, you can actually enjoy it. You can enjoy being constructive, and Ireland at the moment, everyone's passionate about it, but everyone has different opinions, and it's
yeah,
hard at the moment.
Yeah, Kevin trying to find the middle ground in the polarized nature of Irish football.
Not there. It's not there, Mick.
It can be a lonely place sometimes, I think, when you're there. But let's move on to the club football, because you say we can enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed the return of the Champions League this week, and we'll talk about the weekend. We'll do our 1, 2, 3 picks with Ladbrokes and so on and so forth before we get to the end of the show. But like the Liverpool-Milan game last night was brilliant. It was just really, really exciting football. I don't know if you'd be too happy as a Liverpool fan about the whole thing, in that they just fell asleep for 5 minutes, or for 2-3 minutes even at the end of the first half. But in general, I have to say, if you're watching them for 87 minutes last night, this looks like the Liverpool team of 2 years ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, this season so far, the few games I've seen them play, they've been good. So yeah, right back at it. Just the way we talked about them last season and lack of crowd, and I felt they got hit more than anyone with playing in front of empty stadiums. The way they play and the energy they play with, and how high they press, and how they go and go again and go again, and they attack again. That they appreciate a noise and a crowd more than most teams and get more from it. So you can definitely write off last season as a blip from them, and they started this season really well. Last night was good. Again, a good game. You always enjoy watching Liverpool play. I know they conceded a couple of goals. Our fans might, if you're a Liverpool fan, maybe we conceded 2 goals, but you always enjoy watching them play, which is, something. Even if you concede a few, you're in the game, and you always feel Liverpool going to create a chance and going with it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I was thinking about it last night during the game, the noise of Anfield and the cop and so on, and how much it was lifting them. And when they got that equaliser, the noise for the next 20 minutes or however long it was before Henderson scored was unbelievable. And I was thinking about you saying that about Liverpool probably being one of the teams that suffered the most. Is that a tangible thing? You've played at Anfield many times, that like it feels a bigger deal than it does maybe at other grounds, like that you might play at, that when Anfield erupts, it really does it lifts the team.
Yeah, I don't know what way the stadium is, acoustics, the fans themselves, the noise. Like if you compare it to playing at Old Trafford, more people at Old Trafford, but their noise isn't as good. The atmosphere isn't the same. Yeah, I don't know. I've played against Liverpool when they weren't playing, but they weren't the Liverpool that they are now at times. And it was still a brilliant atmosphere there. It was never felt like a negative atmosphere at Anfield. Maybe some of the players that play for Liverpool say different, but to me, always it seemed like fantastic noise and support that they get good or bad. So it's definitely has to be an advantage, doesn't it? I know you're playing in front of a crowd. You got a crowd and they're on your side and they're roaring. Especially it goes with the style of play. If you're a pass and relaxed team of Man City, you don't need that same boost that you get from a crowd that you do if you're Liverpool, who are surging forward, who are counter-attacking, who are pressing high. Every cheer, shout, and roar gives you the impetus and energy to go again. The way they play, it suits them. So that's my reasons why. Might be complete nonsense, but my reasons why I think Anfield especially is a big bonus for Liverpool, and why they might have been underperforming last season.
Absolutely, yeah. Just on Liverpool then, one player we won't see too much of for the rest of the season, unfortunately, is Harvey Elliott. And there's an amazing thing about an 18-year-old, breaking into one of the best teams in the world. You have to be seriously good at that age to be able to kind of make an impact, get picked for a big league game like that. We talked about the whole let it flow after, I think, week 1. I feel like a lot of opinions have moved on. We've let it see, the referee wasn't going to give a free kick for that unless Elliott's leg broke or whatever happened, his ankle disconnected. Obviously, they changed his mind, red card. That red card's been upheld. Is there an argument that it's the idea of just kind of opening up the game and changing how it's being refereed? if you've grown up a certain way and there's never been a tackle from behind, for example, you aren't going to be able to adjust your game. That's the way you've learned to play football. And if suddenly we're bringing back Vinnie Jones types to hack you down, to make it a hard man's game again, we're going to have a lot of injuries because lads don't know how to defend themselves.
Yeah, there is a sense of knowing how to fall, knowing how to take a tackle. You're able to, you feel it coming, you sense it coming. Like, I would have always been aware that I was going to get smashed from behind. It sounded wrong. Get badly tackled from behind. And you're aware of it, and it's like a sixth sense. Maybe you have a point there about players not being as aware of it as they would have been. Like, even with that tackle though, because I was watching it, I saw it, and looking at different people's comments online, and professional footballers and ex-professional footballers, there's still no, again, like a lot of things, a lot of people were saying that's not a red card. Listen, it's terrible injury and very unfortunate, but it's not a red card. So there's no right, or everyone can't agree on things, even as, what looks like a bad tackle there, or, if we sat in a referee's meeting with that one, I often talk to you about that, he would say to us, that's not sending off, but it is a sending off because he's hurt the opponent. But if he hadn't, if he just fouled him and not broke his ankle, it's not a sending off because he's not endangering the play. So, I don't know if that, makes sort of sense to you, but you're trying to say, well, he hasn't gone in to hurt him. He hasn't meant to do it, and it's a legitimate trying to win the ball. It just happened. He caught his leg and broke it. So, you don't want to see that, do you? And that's the reason tackles from behind have pretty much been outlawed in the game. We're talking about letting things go and letting the game flow and letting sort of some minor instances, minor stuff go. It's getting the happy medium, isn't it? I don't think tackles from behind there's been any agreement where they're allowed into the game again, that you can let the game flow in those instances. I don't think so. It was the Burnley game we spoke about Liverpool earlier in the season, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was more letting things go, more of like a wrestling match type game. They were physically, upper body, strength, holding people off, maybe, barging into people. It wasn't smashing tackles from behind. So there's a happy medium, and usually stuff gets an equilibrium, and they'll see that, and it'll be brought back to the middle. It'll be balanced a bit, and the right decision, in my opinion. There, anyone who gets, I know it wasn't meant to be. I know that he tried to win the ball, but anyone who, if you break someone's ankle, I don't care if you're not meaning it or whatever, it's a sending off. You can't be endangering people's. Obviously, a bad tackle if he's broke his ankle. So, to me, that's a sending off. I don't care whether he meant it or not meant it, or it was a legitimate attempt to win the ball. He still broke his ankle. So, that's where I stand on it. So, but I enjoyed, say, that Liverpool-Burnley game. I know Liverpool fans give out, the manager give out, but from what I saw, that maybe I missed it, but it was more just a physical strength battle, that game, and I enjoyed someone trying to do something a bit different. And Liverpool still won the game, and I don't think they got any injuries out of it. It's like everything, Mick, a happy medium, and not going one way or the other.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and I wonder if the problem isn't the idea of maybe like stopping diving and so on and so forth, and penalising that a little bit more. But I worry when a referee is given a vague guideline, that no rules have been changed, but here's something vague, because I think things like that will change. Like, I remember I told you that before, that watching the first Villa game of the season against Watford, and like Danny Ings was kicked above the knee in a foul, and the referee said play on, and it was just one of those. There's been about 10 incidents that, and it was just one of those. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That, like, often when you're watching on TV and you see a foul and you go, oh, I don't think there was much in that, and it turns out the referee has a much better view of it. You see the replay and you go, oh yeah, he clipped his ankle, so on, free on, play on, free. Take the quick free and move on with the game, but you can't not give a free for it. And I just thought there was so many incidences in the first couple of weeks where you're thinking, this is clearly a pretty bad foul, and players are going to take advantage of it more and more. And maybe now something has to happen like this for it to kind of come back to earth. But I do wonder when, like, you're talking about it's like VAR last year. You're talking about this multi-billion-dollar industry, the pound industry, whatever it is, and they just kind of come out with these vague rules where they say to referees, here, we're just leaning a bit this way this year. And it takes 6 weeks to sort it out every single season. It's kind of bananas, isn't it?
It does happen like that every season, where you see stuff. They obviously have a meeting this summer. We're going to let things run a little bit more, try to get anything flow in the game. Maybe there was more stoppages. They're probably going to analyse more stoppages in the last couple of years than normal, and we're trying to get it flowing again. And that always happens, and it seems to come back, though. It does seem to even up. And I don't mind them I know you're saying vague. I don't mind them letting the referees use their own judgment, because we do give out a lot that referees make decisions by the exact letter of the law without using their own judgment and taking everything into account. So I don't mind that side of it, but just common sense, isn't it? Common sense. You're talking about that incident. I didn't see that instance with Danny Keane.
No, it wasn't a big deal. It was one of many, Like
I remember you being cross about it. So obviously, you're not biased at all. But it was obviously a bad one, and that's where refs need to. In fairness, refs, they have a tough time. They will be watching that back on video. He'll have been made watch that, the ref, and analyse it with his supervisor in the week after, and I'm sure they've seen that it was wrong. So they'll learn over the few weeks and realise this. We can't be letting certain instances. We can't. We're after taking this free flow thing too far. We need to just nip it in the bud a little bit. Maybe even have a word with the players beforehand in the dressing room, or you like being spoken to as a player like you're a human, if you know what I mean. Not like you're a school kid. Been spoke to like an adult, and it goes both ways. Players should speak to the refs the same as well. And I always felt if a ref spoke to me before a game, or a quick quiet word in the game, listen, Kevin, cut out, or will you speak to so and so to cut out, and I can't be letting him away with that again. I'll have to send him off. Whatever. That works. It's when refs don't talk to you or treat you like you're a school kid. When you see all, you see it getting out of hand, or you see the players retaliating back at the ref or shouting or roaring at him. I think if you treat them right, the players will treat the rest back right, and you'll get all this, as I say, equaling itself out. But back to your point, it's still a tackle from behind the other night, going all the way back. That's been outlawed, or supposedly been outlawed, and it shouldn't be even a question mark on the ref's mind there.
Yeah. Can I actually? Sorry, I've gone off topic completely here as usual, but the referee thing, you hear about it in rugby an awful lot. It's like a big conversation during the week, and it's obviously such a complicated game, but like there'll be the Irish team will know who the referee is. They'll know what way he's going to referee a game, and they'll have to amend their game plan for that particular thing. Is that ever discussed in football? If you've got, Mike Dean coming up this weekend, he's go, oh, this fella's going to be, I won't say it. I don't want to get into my Mike Dean biases here, but specifically, like, would you have a conversation in training saying so and so different?
Oh yeah, you would about maybe back chat or about the way you could deal with this ref or influence him. But I wouldn't think rugby's a lot more. There's a lot more ifs and buts in rugby and decisions and in and around scrums and all, where I think refs have completely different viewpoints, and you play it to the way a ref looks at things. It's a bit more black and white in football. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm completely wrong about rugby, but it's a bit more black and white. And you would have a conversation about maybe the rest you could talk to or speak to, and that works both ways. I love the ref if I disagreed with a decision he made, and he accepted me speaking to him about it, and not just dismiss me and go, Kevin, listen, that's what I saw. Sorry if I'm wrong. I'll look at it afterwards, but that's what I saw at the time. And it diffuses everything when a ref speaks to you like that. And they were the refs I liked. And a good few of them are like that in fairness, but there is others, I'm not going to name them, who will just treat you like you're my 8-year-old son in school or whatever. And, what I say goes and that's it. There's no conversation about anything.
Absolutely. Look, there'll be plenty more ref conversation. Hopefully not as much, but it does tend to happen, as you mentioned earlier on in the year. But Manchester United, it's been an interesting week. So Ronaldo came back. He scored 3 goals in 2 games. It's like it's actually unbelievable how much this guy scores goals and makes an impact. But despite it feeling positive, the Glazers are back at Old Trafford. Everybody's happy again. Champions League, you lose to young boys, and it feels very like last year. United were very suddenly out of the Champions League last season, and we blamed the games at the end of the campaign, but it was actually mistakes made early in the campaign. We could be looking back at this at Christmas and saying this was a really, really bad night for Man United.
Yeah, and they made a couple of changes, but in the main they had a strong team out, and it was just, you said, a repeat of last year. There were so many points last year where I sat and spoke to you and were like, yeah, listen, they might have turned the corner here. Great performance at the weekend. They're in the top 2 in the league or whatever it was at the time, and then they go out and it's a silly game. It's a game that you think it's a run-of-the-mill game, and it's when they don't perform. And this was one, like, and I don't like naming it, the whole team were poor the other night. And it's just that's just the way they've gone. It was like they beat Leeds the first game of the season, whatever score it was, scored a load of goals, and they went to Southampton and they were poor and drew the game. And it's always giving you, it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, giving you a load of hope, and then been sucked out of you again a few days later. And it's probably an overreaction. They've gone away in Europe. They've lost 2-1. They had a player sent off for 60 minutes down to 10 men. So listen, I know I said it loads of times last season. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's still so early in the season. Ronaldo has started well. There was a really good atmosphere, in fairness, you have to say, at Old Trafford, and the buzz around the place, the best I've seen it for a long time, and the noise and everything coming through the TV anyway, it looked fantastic. The one worry I have that game was, we're meant, our centre half partnership now is meant to be the Newcastle. I don't know if you remember the Newcastle's first goal. I know getting away from the Champions League game, but Newcastle's first goal last weekend.
Yeah,
I think Harry Maguire jumped in on the halfway line, totally missed the tackle. Newcastle went through, and then Varane jumped in on the edge of the box, went with his wrong foot to do a tackle, and it was a skip by, and it was goal. And it just like there are 2 centre halves, combined value of about 150 million, meant to be the kingpin, meant to be like what possibly puts United in with title contention along with signing Ronaldo, but having these two as centre halves now, and that was just, nothing was picked up on after the game because everyone was watching Ronaldo and saying how brilliant it was, and nothing spoken about Newcastle's goal. But if you look back at Newcastle's goal, you just go, the 2 centre halves were terrible, amateur defending from both of them. So I hope that improves. I know it's the first game playing together, I think, and it'll take a while for them to settle in as a partnership. Thought he would have played them again the other night together. The back he brought in Lindelof and made a change. Thought he would have played them together, just getting more minutes under their belt. I think defenders, centre halves can play more than maybe you want to rest forwards or midfielders or whatever. But centre halves is more about getting together and getting a sixth sense of where each other are and getting used to playing with each other. So I wouldn't have made that change the other night. But listen, there was a few question marks over different changes and substitutions made, but there wasn't nothing mentioned about that one. But that was just my observation of that Newcastle game the other night.
I wonder as well, and look, I mean, I hate to always come back to it, and I don't like to be always talking about Paul Pogba, but it does feel that midfield is a little overrun. And I know McTominay might come in and stuff, but him in two in midfield, it just seems like an accident waiting to happen in a way, doesn't it? Or it even might give impetus to the other team to control the game a little bit, And it's funny, we were looking at PSG last night, and there was some discussion of like, this is just a load of superstars. This doesn't suit the way the manager plays. He wants to press, and Miguel Delaney was talking about that on Twitter. It was a really good point. Like, Pochettino wants to press, and this is a team that isn't going to do it. But unbelievable, then they go and draw with like Bruges, But I don't think United are in that bracket at all. But you do feel like Ronaldo was that last piece of some puzzle. But where did it leave the entire shape of the team?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at their team from the other night, and against Newcastle, I think in the game so far, Pogba's played as centre mid, but Van Beek and Fred, he's one as well. I'm just haven't seen enough of Danny Van Beek to know whether Solskjaer just seems to totally not be having him at all. A few times I've seen him play, I think he technically looks brilliant, but again in midfield and trying to get both ends of the pitch up and down support, and he doesn't look like he's got an engine at the moment. He did speak about a fitness regime he went through in the summer to try get up to speed and be able to do that, but I just haven't seen enough of him. Got whipped at half time probably because of the sending off. I thought I should have left him on. Trying to fit people in. You're talking about Pochettino, PSG, and he wants to press. I don't know what Solskjaer I'm still not sure what his favourite sort of style of play is. They're a bit sort of everywhere. You don't know. You can never, somebody, Man City, you can know the way to play. Liverpool, you know the way to play. You're talking about PSG and Pochettino, you know the way he wants to play, but he might have the players to do it. I'm not sure with Man United. Watching them against Newcastle, some were pressing, some weren't. They've got a collection of fabulous players, and how do you get them? Pogba is always the one. What position do you play him in? Like in the centre mid, the best in his career was for Juventus on that sort of left of a tree in the middle, sort of a free role, could come in and score goals, but always reverted to the left-hand side defensively. And against the weaker teams, he's fine, I think, in the middle. I'm not sure. Listen, season will tell. This is a massive season. He's out of contract in the season as well. If you're going to play well for United, this is the one, because he's looking for either a fabulous new contract here or somewhere else. So in the last season of his contract now, he's going to be focused the most. He's been focused, I'd imagine, at Man United, and we should see the best of him. But what position to play him in, I don't know if Solskjaer knows. I don't know if Pogba knows. He doesn't really speak about what his favourite position is. And when he plays well, he's fabulous. But it's again, I'm not singling him out because it's a good few Man United. The inconsistency of week-to-week performances, certainly last season and this season, just going on the game the other night, could be a problem again.
Yeah. Well, the new player manager will probably sort that out once he gets his feet under the table there, as he does.
Well, what I'm saying is, I'd get back. Sorry, I'm cutting over you, but I love to hear the story of Ronaldo tonight and the food and not having dessert, and all the players seeing what he was eating and they're following suit. I'm not saying that's going to make a massive difference, but little things like that, young players seeing him, how he lives, how he does things. Ronaldo mightn't be the same player that you'd love him to be at Old Trafford, but he could have a massive influence on a few players there for years to come if they see how he lives his life. Can't believe they were having brownies the night before a game on the menu, by the way. For as professional sports people, it was a strange one, but brownies and custard and different things like that. But, it was nice to see Ronaldo leading by example, and little things like that. It could be extra in the gym or extra training afterwards. He could have a massive influence outside of just what he does on the pitch for the next few years.
The Man United menu leaks have been the best part of the season for some reason, but I hope it's not the end of Jesse Lingard's omelette and ketchup that we've seen many times on Instagram over the years. But maybe that's what the influence Ronaldo will have. Pogba, I think, was left forward in the first game of the season against Leeds when we spoke about how brilliant he was and his 4 assists and so on. He's been midfield ever since. It's just interesting you bring that up. Where is his best position? We'll move on, Kevin, to the weekend. United are included in this. We're going to look at Ladbrokes 1, 2, 3. This is where you get to play for free on Ladbrokes.com. You pick the scores in 3 of the games this weekend. If you get 1 score correct, you win a €1 free bet. If you get 2, you get a €5 free bet. And if you get all 3, you win €100 cash. Kevin is going to give us his picks for the 3 games. Villa and Everton first. Everton have started the season really well under Rafa, I have to say. There's I was watching them the other night now. It was just like a routine win against Burnley, but it felt like Goodison were ready to kind of say, okay, we'll give this guy a chance here now, and this could be a bit of fun this year.
Yeah, he's a class manager, isn't he? And amazing how fans come around.
I know.
Under results. And they have a good squad and everything. Like, it's not like they don't have good players. And talking about atmosphere, there's a place, Goodison Park, fabulous atmosphere there as well. So they're doing well. I can imagine it's only going to be better as the season goes on. I'm going to go for a draw in this game, although Mick, I think Villa have been fine as well. You've seen Villa minute by minute this season, probably more than I have, but I fancy Villa at home to get something this game. I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1, yeah. I've never seen a better reaction to a 3-0 defeat as happened on Saturday evening against Chelsea. It went up against the All-Ireland final, so a lot of people won't have seen it. But a good performance in a 3-0 defeat to Chelsea, which might show you how good Chelsea are. We'll talk about them in a second. But West Ham and United, the Jesse Lingard derby. West Ham, they've got Europe on Thursday night, which isn't something that normally West Ham have to worry about before a game on a Sunday, and which is brilliant. Moyes, they started well again. They look a decent side. I was watching them just a match of day highlights against Southampton, and I wonder if there'll be a kind of a crash back to earth slightly as the year goes on. But the forward line looks exciting. Like, they're a decent side, West Ham.
Yeah, and I saw you had that sort of crash back to earth feeling last year, and it didn't really happen. They kept it going early all season. So the one thing is Europe. It does seem to get in the way of teams who aren't used to have been there, who mightn't have the squad to deal with it. So that'd be a one where you're playing on a Thursday night and then having to come back and play Man United. I know Man United were playing last night, but it's an extra day for them. So that is why United seem to bounce back from a poor result with a win or a good performance. So I'm going to go for an away win in this one, a 2-1 Man United. I think it was something similar last season, Man United at West Ham. Can't exactly remember. I seem to remember Pogba scoring. I think it was that. Was it Man United West Ham? Pogba scoring a really good goal, maybe to win it near the end. at West Ham as well. I'll go for a 2-1 away win.
Okay, so 2-1 away win there for United in London at the London Stadium. Then another game in London derby, Spurs and Chelsea. This is a really interesting one to me. Spurs were absolutely terrible against Palace on Saturday morning. I couldn't believe it. It was just like, I don't know why you expect more or whatever, but they started the season quite well. You're thinking, right, they've left the weirdness of the last few seasons behind them, and we'll see what they are. Maybe they're a team who could challenge for 4th, 5th, and just be a little bit more consistent. And they just never showed up at all. And then you've got Chelsea, who look outstanding. I said to you just before we come on, they're like the quietest European champions contenders. They've signed a guy who's had the same impact as Ronaldo's had at United, scoring every game, scored again in Champions League on Tuesday night, and just look at like finished product almost,
Yeah, so set up for Spurs to win 1-0.
No, 2-0.
I couldn't believe that Crystal Palace game. Because like one thing their manager and one thing at Wolves he was criticising is maybe being a little bit too defensive and solid at times, and that was the exact opposite the way they were the other day. And how well they started the season as well to lose to Crystal Palace, who a good few people had down as being real strugglers and possible relegation fodder this season. So that would really have stung, I'd imagine, brought them back down to earth for their positive start. Chelsea, you just described their start to the season, and you're sort of again if Chelsea can be under the radar, but they're the Champions League winners. They've strengthened their squad fabulously, and people still aren't really having them for winning the league or winning the Champions League again. So amazing how they're a little bit under the radar. Lukaku started so well for them as well.
Is that your favourite current player? I always feel like when you speak as a footballer now, I'm not saying as somebody who's a supporter or anything like that, but is he the kind of player that you admire the most in football?
I do like the way he plays centre forward. Yeah, he's nearly old school type centre forward, and less and less of those in the league. Like Ronaldo's a winger playing centre forward. Man City don't play a centre forward half the time. Liverpool don't play a centre forward. Chelsea are with Lukaku. He's that number 9, holds the ball up but runs in behind as well, brings people into play, and then scores goals at the end of it. He does a little bit of everything. See him in the Euros for Belgium. I talked about him a good few times. Just highlighted some of these runs and these movements. And I saw him at Man United, and he just wasn't the player that we saw at Everton. He wasn't the player then that was, when he went to Inter Milan, how he changed overnight. And they said it fixed something in his bowel and his diet that was affecting him, and he became the player that he had the potential to be for all those years at Everton, and now he's started off at Chelsea like that again. Looks unplayable when he plays well. He's got a bit of everything. So I like him. Everyone likes him, don't they? Well, most people would like to have him in their team when he's playing like this. So, but as a centre forward, I'd appreciate what he does. He does a little bit of everything, works hard. So, probably going to be top scorer in the league, to be honest. Probably Ronaldo.
Ronaldo, yeah.
Yeah, he sort of guarantees you goals. He doesn't go through a spell where he doesn't score. He just seems to guarantee you goals. Again, in Italy, where it's not easy to score, he did it last couple of seasons. So yeah, but yeah, I'm going to go for an away win. I'm going to go for 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. Okay, so Sunday's games will be 2-1 away wins, according to Kevin, and a 1-1 draw on Saturday night between Villa and Everton. That's Kevin's 1-2 free picks. You can pick your own. Just go on to ladbrokes.com and play 1-2 free for absolutely free now. You pick the 3 scores in the 3 games at the weekend. If you get one right, you get a €1 free bet. If you get 2, you get a €2 free bet. And if you get all 3, you win €100 cash. Kevin, thanks a million. It was a great chat. We went off on the referees there for a while. We brought it back there. Our Chelsea fan producer will be delighted that we finally give them the credit they deserve this season as well. So we'll talk to you next week.
Cheers, Mick. Talk to you soon.
Thanks a million to Kevin. Thanks for you for watching as well. Thanks to Ladbrokes also. If you're having a bet on the Premier League or anything else going ahead this weekend, please always gamble responsibly. Visit dunlewy.net for more information. We'll be back with you with lots more very soon.